am excited to talk to you about Christmas with the Campbells. I watched it and oh my God, I couldn't stop laughing. I mean, there was a lot of heartfelt moments, but I couldn't stop laughing as well because there was a lot of hysterical parts in the film as well.
Well, that makes me very happy because that's what we're going for.
So I looked up your filmography and I see that you're quite delved out into the Christmas film. So what got you involved with this particular film?
You're right. I do have a lot of Christmas films in my past, which I love, and I hope I get more because I love doing Christmas movies. Yeah, I mean, I've worked a lot with Hallmark. They're a wonderful company to work for, and still do work for them occasionally. But Vince Vaughn and Peter Billingsley were, I think, looking for a director who kind of knew the brand, because they, it's not a parody, but it is kind of what they call their love letter to Hallmark. And so, yeah, I just interviewed with them and read the script and kind of gave them my thoughts. And, within a couple weeks, we were in production. But it was super collaborative. And we had such a good time filming it.
And I gotta say, I'm actually, my review is actually up today, and I gotta say, I really loved it. I said that this was the Hallmark movie mixed in with like the raunchiness, but not too subtle of like Wedding Crashers in terms of the dialogue. Like not so much the actual raunchy stuff, but just the dialogue, especially with Alex's character and his flirtation with Joanna was like that. Those when they were flirting with each other, it was that was like where I thought of Wedding Crashers was Vince Vaughn, and I know he co-wrote the film as well.
Totally,
so it just made it more hysterical. So, speaking of the cast, I mean, Brittany Snow was great, Justin Long was great, Alex and Joanna, I can't say enough about them.
Yeah,
and Julia as well. Julia Duffy, I think she's getting brave with her roles lately because I'm used to seeing her as on Newhart as this as the innocent, Stephanie, but here she is. She's branched out to something. Wow. Like I was not expecting her to do that. But
right.
Like working with them.
Oh my gosh, it was so wonderful. I mean, Julia Duffy, just like you could give her any line and she just kills it, and as we were filming, Vince was giving her more and more lines just because she was, she can just handle the comedy so well. And, we did a lot of improvising on set. And obviously Alex Moffat and Justin Long and Brittany Snow, I mean, they could all, just roll with it. And they wanted the more jokes, and they were just so wonderful to work with and had such good relationship with each other. But honestly, they're all such talented actors, but they could really handle doing improv and working with each other and working quickly. And I can't say enough nice things about each one of them.
Yeah, I gotta say, and I felt like the improvisation makes the chemistry more natural rather than forced. Because if you just follow a script, sometimes it just doesn't work out if the chemistry is not there. But when you use improvisation, it feels like it's more natural, it's more realistic, and that's what I felt with, especially with Brittany and Justin, because you just felt the tension going between the two of them throughout the entire film.
Yeah,
and it's like you're waiting for that moment to finally happen.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, usually with Hallmark films, that usually happens about halfway through a holiday movie. But I'm glad it was reserved for the end because I like the twist where Alex does come back, and and that's when everything gets all complicated, and I think it really helped in terms of that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting you say that because it was really fun to see them start to, the more they started to understand their characters, the more fun they could have with the character, and they would know, what lines would work for them and stuff. And we definitely, in the edit room kind of found which jokes worked best because there was a lot of stuff that maybe went too far, or stuff that was too soft, and so it was really fun to find that tone, which it's kind of a hard tone to nail down. I mean, there's not a lot of reference films for something like this. You have like the Hallmark version and then you have like the Wedding Crashers, and we're doing something kind of in the middle. But everyone was on board and was excited for this experiment. And I think in the end, we found this really sweet spot.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And like I said, I really loved the chemistry with everything. And I liked Joanna's character in terms of her playing this, the local baker, and she's
Yeah.
she's still in love with Justin's character in some way. Is it really love, or is it just like,
Exactly. Or is it just
exactly.
some treehouse time?
Yeah, exactly. But then when Brittany comes in, like that's when Justin feels like the real love, like something I feel like he never felt. He never felt
Yeah.
the love, and he finally finds it. And you know, Alex's references to all the everything with business and pleasure.
Yeah.
It's just, they always say don't mix business with pleasure, but his character is like the ultimate version of mixing business with pleasure, because all the references he says. It's just like,
Exactly. Yeah, and it's funny because I directed a movie that I directed a Hallmark movie that Joanna was in, and so her and I had that reference and that relationship, and I knew how funny she could be just from working with her as an actor, and obviously like her body of work speaks for itself, but to see her be able to just release that side of her, it was so fun to watch, and I think she had a lot of fun doing it, and it adds such a nice flavor to the film. When she comes in, she's kind of this like whoosh of energy, and yeah, she was great.
yeah, I gotta say, I think it was the funniest role, the funniest thing she's done since Not Another Teen Movie, where she played Sandy Sue with the Tourette's, and she like pressing out the curse words. And of course, I recognized it from Reba, and then when I saw that movie, I was just like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
that's not the same person I thought of it." But
Right.
but she did such a tremendous job here, and Alex did too. I always loved him on SNL, like some of the roles he did on SNL. So I know he had that background. I know for him, it had to be like so easy for him to just go through it. I mean,
Oh, so easy, and he's so fun to watch. Like I would just want to give him more takes and more takes, because every time he would give us something different and add things in, and and he's also like so good at physical comedy, and yeah, I mean, just a dream to work with, especially in this comedic world.
yeah, and I felt like George Wendt's character, he reminded me of John Goodman on Roseanne, like, just the guy working hard, and he's just like, he's more into work and everything else, and that's when Julia comes in. It's like, no, this is your morning, you're gonna
Yeah,
do this.
exactly.
That's when I started laughing. That's when I started dying, when she started like when she just started all that. That was the most hysterical thing.
Yeah, Robert's morning, tough
Yeah.
time. I mean, there was stuff and she just, so earnest, and same with George Wendt. They just play these characters so real and so grounded that even though they're saying this crazy stuff, you believe it.
Yeah, so I gotta ask, you have your share of Hallmark movies and all that, but what was it like adding that extra element to the mix with this? Like,
It was a dream come true, because a lot of times on a Hallmark set, it almost kind of felt like when you're filming a Hallmark movie, sometimes the crew or the cast will make a funny joke within the scene of like what this scene's about, and it almost felt like we got to take that and put it into a movie. And like it was just, it was an absolute dream to like just be able to kind of set something up like it is a Hallmark movie, and I say that loving Hallmark movies, and then be able to just throw something in there, like the kid saying the F-bomb, or Alex Moffat saying a dirty joke, and it was an absolute dream to like, it felt like we were fulfilling some weird side of me, and everyone who watches Hallmark movies is like, yeah, but people don't really talk like that, let's throw in something dirty, so,
right.
yeah.
And was Peter Billingsley on the set at all during production? And
he's the best, one of the best producers I've ever worked with. He wasn't, because he was filming his movie, A Christmas
that's
Story.
what I was about to ask, because
Yeah.
I saw A Christmas Story Christmas. I was so glad he came back to that role. I mean,
isn't he so good in it?
my gosh, I felt like I was back as a kid watching the original Christmas Story, and here he is grown up, and here I am grown up as almost the same era, so it's just like, holy crap. I was like, I felt like I was that little kid watching A Christmas Story for the first time again.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
now as an adult, passing on to my kids, and
right. Yeah, so he was filming that at the same time that we were filming, So he wasn't on set with us, but he was super involved in everything and watching dailies, and him and I would talk all the time. And then he was super involved in the edit. And I mean, he's such a talented actor and director in his own right, but also working with him as a producer was like just a dream. He's just a wonderful person, and his talent knows no bounds.
Cool. So how long did shooting take, and what challenges, if any, did you face during production?
So it was a really quick shoot. We were only filming for 17 days. We shot on location in Utah. We filmed last January. And honestly, the hardest thing, we had a wonderful crew, wonderful cast. I mean, it was pretty, we didn't have all the money in the world, but enough to make a good movie. But we were dealing with the elements. We had some snowstorms happen, and so we were dealing with that. And COVID was coming through, and it was more like logistical stuff because everyone was so wonderful to work with, but it was freezing. I mean, when we were doing the light show, I was worried we were going to kill Julia Duffy, making her stand out there at 1 a.m. and it's like -10 degrees. I mean, it was the coldest thing I've ever felt, and the cameras stopped working for a little bit. You have to warm them up, stuff like that. But I love filming on location, and it gets everyone's energy up, and all that snow is just so beautiful to film, and the low light of the winter hours. It was it was great. But it was a quick shoot, but
You made it work.
I made the most of it. Yeah,
It worked. I think it worked perfectly. I mean, I really enjoyed this movie for sure, and I hope people will when it comes out this Friday.
yeah.
So finally, what is next for you that you can talk about?
Nothing really that I can talk about yet. Hopefully we'll be doing something like Christmas with the Campbells for next year, I think, because I think people will really respond to it. But yeah, I mean, other than that, just looking for my next directing job. And I did some Hallmark stuff this year, which was wonderful, and I'm sure I'll continue to work with them, and then hopefully get to do some stuff that is kind of out of that sandbox like this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Christmas with the Campbells is coming out this Friday in theaters and on AMC Plus. And those who love Hallmark movies but want something a little extra with it are definitely going to enjoy this movie. And Claire, thank you so much again for taking the time to talk about it. This was a great chat, and I was really excited to talk to you about it.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
All right. Well, you take care, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.